Orcas are also called killer whales for a reason. They are highly intelligent and incredibly powerful, and when captivity breaks their spirit, they can turn deadly. Here are the 5 deadliest orca attacks ever caught on camera, each more shocking than the last. Starting with number 5, it was supposed to be just another routine show. In 2006, at SeaWorld San Diego, veteran trainer Ken Peters entered the water with Kasatka, a 30-year-old female orca. But what happened next would haunt everyone who witnessed it.
An experienced trainer is swimming with a 5,000-pound female named Kasatka, an animal he's worked with for years. With no apparent warning, the killer whale grabs his feet and pulls him underwater for close to a minute. Then it brings him to the surface where the trainer pets the whale, tries to calm it, only to be yanked down again.
Without warning, Kasatka seized Peters by the foot and dragged him deep beneath the surface. Then she let him go, only to grab him again, over and over. The attack lasted nearly 10 minutes, right in front of a live audience. Peters kept calm, somehow managing to survive multiple dives, but he left the tank with a broken foot, lung injuries, and a story that nearly ended in tragedy. What's worse, this wasn't the first time Kasatka had shown aggression. SeaWorld knew. Internal memos had flagged her behavior, but she kept performing because the show had to go on. When footage of the attack was eventually released years later, it shocked the public and confirmed what many had feared. No amount of experience can protect a trainer from a captive orca that's had enough. Moving to number 4. It happened on Christmas Eve. In 2009, 29-year-old trainer Alexis Martinez entered the pool with Kato, a male orca on loan from SeaWorld. The session was meant to be routine. Instead, it became deadly. In an instant, Kato turned violent. He rammed Martinez with bone-breaking force, dragged him under and left his body floating lifeless. Massive internal bleeding, broken ribs, a crushed sternum. He was killed during a training session, not even a public show. But here's what will make your blood run cold. Just weeks earlier, SeaWorld's behavioral panel had reviewed Keto's profile and warned he was unsafe for water work. So why was that warning ignored? And after his death, the park initially downplayed the event, calling it an accidental drowning. The truth was buried until leaked documents revealed everything. And what do they show? It was not just a tragedy, it was preventable. Down to number 3. In July 1999, a SeaWorld janitor made a horrifying discovery. Floating atop Tillicum's tank was the naked, lifeless body of 27-year-old Daniel Dukes. Somehow, he had stayed in the park after hours and slipped into the massive orca's enclosure. By morning, his body was bruised, bitten, and mutilated. The official report said he drowned, but the injuries told another story. SeaWorld's response: blame the victim. They painted Dukes as a reckless drifter, but questions swirled. How did he get past security? How did no one notice for hours? And why did Tillicum, a whale so often portrayed as calm and gentle, treat a human body this way? The truth no one wanted to face. This wasn't an isolated event. It was a symptom of what happens when intelligent social predators are confined, frustrated, and broken. Don't go anywhere, as there's more to uncover, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Next on number 2. Before Tillicum arrived at SeaWorld, he was involved in another tragedy that would mark the beginning of his violent history.
Working with Tillicum and the other orcas at Sealand was a rewarding and physically demanding job. Working as an animal trainer, Kelty knew the importance of building a rapport with the animals she worked with. Being assigned to train the orcas was an exciting opportunity.
In 1991, at Sealand of the Pacific in British Columbia, 20-year-old Kelty, an athletic marine biology student, slipped into a tank holding Tillicum and 2 female orcas. She struggled to climb out, but the whales weren't helping. They pulled her under again and again. What started as a mistake turned into a deadly game.
But instead, he wanted to have some fun. Kelty's lungs felt like they were going to burst. She could see the surface of the pool above her. It was so far away, she didn't know if she could hold on much longer.
Witnesses described her screams, the desperate rescue attempts, but nothing worked. The orcas kept her from surfacing, dragging her until she drowned in front of a crowd. But here's the horrifying part. The facility had no emergency protocols for such incidents, and the trainers were unprepared for such aggression. The incident closed Sealand forever, but instead of being retired or rehabilitated, Tilikum was sold to SeaWorld. The answer? Because he had something SeaWorld wanted: his genes. Tilikum would go on to sire over 20 offspring. He was too valuable to let go, even if it meant ignoring what had already happened and what would happen again. And then came the moment that shocked the world. Finally, on number 1, on February 24th, 2010, at SeaWorld Orlando, veteran trainer Dawn Brancheau had just finished a dine with Shamu Show. She stood at the edge of the pool, inches from Tilikum, the largest orca in captivity. She had worked with him for years, trusted him, but that day, he broke that trust in the most horrific way imaginable.
Free orcas have never killed a human, but captive orcas killed 4, and Tilikum was responsible for 3 of them. Dawn Brancheau was Tilikum's trainer at SeaWorld Orlando. One day, at the end of a show, she was rubbing his head, but she put herself in a vulnerable position, lying next to Tilikum on the show platform.
In front of horrified guests, Tilikum pulled her into the water by her ponytail or her arm and began a sustained and violent attack. He thrashed her, slammed her against the wall, tore through her limbs, crushed her ribs, severed her spinal cord. Why did he do it? Was it stress, miscommunication, or years of psychological torment exploding all at once? What's even more chilling is how long the attack lasted. Tilikum refused to release her body for 45 minutes. Trainers tried everything: food, hand signals, and nets. Nothing worked. And in the end, they weren't just trying to save a life. They were trying to stop a nightmare. This was Tilikum's 3rd human death, but it was also the last straw. The death of Dawn Brancheau marked a turning point in the global conversation about orca captivity. Her tragic end triggered lawsuits, federal investigations, and the release of Blackfish in 2013, a searing documentary that ripped the curtain back on SeaWorld's darkest truths. It shook the world's conscience and forced us to really look at the price of keeping wild, intelligent creatures in concrete enclosures. Dawn's story made international headlines, but more than that, it made people question everything they thought they knew about marine parks. It ignited outrage, fueled protests, and eventually pressured SeaWorld to make changes, like banning in-water performances with orcas, a move that ended a decades-old tradition. But here's the chilling reality. These weren't isolated tragedies. They were warnings. Each attack, each scream underwater was a cry from animals pushed beyond their limits. The cases of Kasatka, Kato, and most hauntingly Tilikum laid bare the psychological damage of captivity. These are not circus performers. They are apex predators. Social, emotional, intelligent beings who were never meant to live cut off from the ocean or their families. And yet, even now, the debate rages on. Some say the solution is sea sanctuaries, protected coastal spaces where orcas can live out their lives with dignity, feeling the currents, hearing the wild again. Others argue that captivity serves a purpose: education, conservation, and research. So, what do you think? Is captivity a necessary tool for conservation or a cruel compromise of nature? Let us know in the comments below.